Hi, Jared Ice from Towermint Studios, and today we'll be making a basic composite photo using the neural filters in Photoshop. Today we'll be using this as our scene and be adding this hiker as our object into the scene. The first thing we'll need to do is remove the background from this photo. With the layer selected, go to Properties and under Quick Action, select Remove Background. For this function to work properly, you'll need an object with clean, defined lines and good contrast to the background. Even with a good photo, you might have to do some cleanup with the background erase tool. If your photo is a bit more complex with lots of patches of background showing through, the background erase tool might be your preferred method anyway. With our background removed and our layer selected, we'll go up to Filter and select Neural Filters. We'll be using a neural filter so that the light and color of our object more closely matches our background. Activate the harmonization filter and select your background to match your object's color and lighting. Once Photoshop has finished its calculations, there's lots of sliders you can use to adjust the filter. Adjusting the sliders will only make changes to the object and not the background. I'll make some slight changes to the saturation, and I'll also bring down the brightness a little bit. I'll leave the rest of the settings as is, and I'll click OK to apply the filter. We can already see how much of an improvement this filter makes. I will now select the layer with our edited object and the background layer, and I will merge these two layers together to create a single photo layer. With this new layer selected, I'll go back to Filters and I'll once again select Neural Filters. We'll use a neural filter to match our object's depth of field, the slight blurriness in his waist and the very sharp focus in his face, to our scene's depth of field, which is a bit different, with sharp focus both in the foreground and the background. With the depth blur filter activated, we'll select our object's face as a focal point, and Photoshop will calculate a depth of field. With the focal range set very low, our background is blurry all the way from the background to the foreground. With the focal range set very high, only the background is blurry. I'm going to bring it to the middle and try to find a point where the ground in front of our object is also slightly blurry. Once you've set a desired depth of field, you can adjust the blur strength to control how strongly this filter is applied. As a result of previously merging our object layer and our background layer, all sliders will now adjust both layers at the same time. Play around with the sliders and see what adjustments look good to you. You can always press cancel and start again. I'll bring up the brightness a little bit, and I'll also bring down the saturation a touch. I'll also add a little bit of grain to the photo, which often happens when bumping up the brightness of a camera in a dark setting. I'll click OK to apply the filter, and we'll compare it to our original photo. A fairly decent composite photo using just a few filters. I'm Jared Ice, and this has been another Towermint Studios How To.